Live at Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue, bringing you the best in real Texas barbecue. This is Sooner Sports Talk on the Sooner Sports Network from Learfield.
Stripped by Godwin, breakaway, Sam Godwin, hammer! Godwin picked the pocket.
Into Verhulst, quick release three, swish.
Fierce, pull up three for the tie, foul! He hit it! He hit it! Miles, pump fake, steps left, open three for the lead, got it! He knocked the bottom out of it, and the Sooners lead it! Northweather for three, Big Luke! Big Luke! Bam! Throw ahead to Moore, Moore with the breakaway, he'll dunk it, and you can unhitch the wagon! You can unhitch the wagon! Put the ponies in the barn!
This is Sooner Sports Talk.
Welcome in to Sooner Sports Talk, coming your way from Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue in Norman, presented by our good friends here at Air Comfort Solutions and Chad McKee with Caleb Kelly, and Sooner offensive coordinator Ben Arbuckle is joining us. Caleb's got his traditional salute there on the beginning of the program.
Hey, no doubt.
Our opening segment is presented by McIntyre Law. Noble McIntyre with McIntyre Law, the law firm for all of your personal injury needs. Coach Arbuckle, thanks so much for being with us tonight. It's good to have you.
I appreciate you having me on, man. I'm excited to be here. So you ready to get after it?
Let's do it.
All right.
We hit the ground running. You were here. I think you just got off the plane. We had you for signing day. Have you stopped since you hit the ground in Norman since that day?
I haven't stopped one bit, and it's all been good. You know, everything from recruiting to the transfer portal to getting with the staff, getting with the kids, implementing an offense, and starting spring ball. I mean, it's been kind of, you know, full speed ahead, but I wouldn't really have it any other way. It's been awesome. The kids have been great, been a ton of support, just in every aspect of it. So it's been really awesome.
Yeah.
Coach, I'm so excited to have you here tonight.
Yeah.
I'm so mission, obviously.
Yeah,
we're the player development portion. So we really care about the person, the who's of who, the why's of why. Man, talk a little bit about who you are, where you come from a little bit. Let's give you the floor here real quick to talk about Ben Arbuckle. I want to know your family and all that. Let's talk about that stuff.
Yeah, well, we'll start with the two most important people in my life. I'm married to my wonderful wife, Lauren.
Good start.
We've been together for 12 years. We started dating in high school, so been around each other for a long time, and got married about 6.5 years ago. And we have a little 2-year-old boy named Hudson. And so, you know, they're everything for me. They're exactly why I do what I do and how I approach my work every single day. I always have those two in mind of what can I do today to make their lives better. And so without them, I mean, I wouldn't be in Norman. I probably wouldn't be coaching football. And so they mean everything to me. Funny story, my wife grew up a massive OU fan. I mean, her dad
Where did she grow up?
She grew up in Canyon, Texas, about 10 miles south of Amarillo. So, 3.5 hours from here, not too far. Massive Boomer Sooner fan. Her dad is, I've heard her dad watching OU games over the years, just yelling at the TV, getting excited,
in a good
mad.
way, right?
Yeah, mostly good, mostly absolutely good. And so that's always been fun. Our first date was an OU game back in 2012. I knew she was an OU fan, so I tried making an impression.
Yeah.
And so
we win the game.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We won't go
Caleb
there. All
playing
right.
in that game?
I don't know. It was Oklahoma, Notre Dame in 2012. It didn't end well for Oklahoma, but it was the most incredible atmosphere I've ever been to. It was a home game. It was unbelievable. And so she had a great time, ended up marrying her, so it must have worked, right?
No doubt.
But, I'm from a tiny little town in the Texas Panhandle called Canadian, Texas, about 3 hours from here. Went to school at West Texas A&M, played football there. I was a very average quarterback. If y'all look me up, I was not that good, all right, at all. And so I had a lot of fun, though, made a lot of really good friends. And so, just been jumping around in this profession, lived everywhere from Houston at HBU to I coached high school for 7 months at Seminole High School in West Texas, to Western Kentucky, out in Bowling Green, Kentucky, to Washington State. And, I was fortunate enough to get to come to Norman, Oklahoma, and coach at Oklahoma. So
let's take a little deeper dive with Caleb's question as well. Did you always know you wanted to be a coach? What got you into this occupation?
Ooh, man, that's a great question. And the answer is no.
Yeah.
Actually, the answer is no. You know, I got 2 degrees. I got 1 degree in finance and I got another degree in economics.
Wow.
I thought I was going to go do something, make a whole lot of money, making a lot of people making a lot of people a lot of money.
Yeah.
And started working for an oil and gas company right when my wife got married in Houston. I'm not going to lie to all y'all out here. I hated it. I was like, I'm punching numbers and I'm making zero impact with my life. And I was fortunate enough to get a volunteer unpaid position at Houston Baptist University that turned into a 2.5-year volunteer unpaid
Your
job.
wife loved that, I'm sure.
Imagine telling your wife and your father-in-law that one, right? But we made it work. You know, again, another reason why my wife is my wife and my son. She made it work for us. You know, she got a nanny job as she was in occupational therapy school down in Houston. So, you know, she made a little bit of money here and there. I had an unbelievable boss who's the offensive coordinator there, who allowed me to drive Uber Eats at lunch and at night, and we just made enough money to get by. And so
allowed you to. I love that.
Yeah, no doubt. And so she, I mean, just us two working together and everything, she knew I was really passionate about this. I kind of lucked into that first job, but I knew after about a week of doing it, so I couldn't imagine myself doing anything different. And she could see that instantly. And so we did whatever we had to do to make it work, and we've just been on this wild ride ever since.
Man, that just talks about your work ethic. And you know, you haven't been here too long, and you know, Soul Mission, we're kind of in the background dealing with the players more, but you know, we get to observe a lot. It's a big part of the job. And I'm telling you, when you got to lead out that team meeting, it just showed your energy, your passion, and I just got to know, is that coming from all that experience, or is that coming from the combination of trying to pour that into your players, or where is your passion coming from that gets you fueled like that?
Yeah, you know, I think it's a combination of a whole bunch of things. I think, you know, one of the big influences in my life was my high school football coach. His name's Chris Ketting. And he would always say, they'll go as you go. And, well, I don't want them to go with a bad attitude or, you know, being low on energy or anything. So if I expect these players that I get to coach to run around with some juice, with some energy, and have a high sense of urgency and be extremely detail-oriented when we're at practice, well, I better be the same way. I better be practicing what I preach. And so, you know, that team meeting, any chance I get to get in front of our awesome players we have at Oklahoma, I want them to know that they're going to have a coach who's going to fly around, who's going to care, who's going to bring the energy and love being there probably more than they love being there, right? And, like, I want that to, like, you know, spew off into them and everything. So that's where that energy comes from. It
helps, too. I mean, when all of a sudden Coach V isn't up there. Not that they get tired of hearing Coach V, but they know this isn't about to be an hour and a half today. Like, you know, we got an opportunity.
Yeah.
He didn't feed into that one. That was smart right there.
Hey.
Just let that one slide on.
Yeah, no, shoot.
Yeah.
Coach V, I love listening to him talk. Every time he talks, I mean, I learn something new, and he always has something great to add to it. I think my job as being someone who's aligned with Coach V and pulling the rope in the same direction is to give them a different flavor while preaching the same message.
Yeah.
And so that's what I always try to do whenever I go up there is, okay, I'm gonna say exactly how Coach V wants this culture and this program to go, but I'm going to be myself too with it. And so put my own little flavor on it.
Yeah, so much attention to detail too. Sorry, I just had to say the way he took practice clips to game clips, it was just really impressive. From a former player myself, wanted to compliment you on that.
How about your coaching influences?
Yeah,
you know, as you set upon this career yourself.
Yeah, you know, I think, like I said earlier, the first one was my head coach, Chris Ketting. He's a legendary high school football coach back in Texas. He won a lot, 4 or 5 state titles. Only was the head coach for 11 years and won 160 games. So, like, that dude knew how to win. Yeah, do the math. It's like 15.
You're the math guy, but
it's
it
like
sounds
15
like
wins a year.
12 a year. Yeah, something like that.
And so, you know, and he's still someone that I talk to and lean on a lot, just for different advice. More times than not, advice on being a father. Like, I have a 2-year-old boy. Like, hey, how do I do this, dude? Like, and so. But he's one. You know, the next one is a man named Zach Kitley, who was my first boss at Houston Baptist University. Luckily, he thought I did a good enough job for him to take me to Western Kentucky with him whenever he became the offensive coordinator. And, you know, Coach Kitley has since been the offensive coordinator at Texas Tech for the last 3 seasons, and he just became the head coach at Florida Atlantic. He's my best friend probably in this entire world. I'm the godfather to his son Ford, and I mean, again, whenever it comes to professional and you know, any sort of advice I ever need, he's always just a great ear to chime into, and he gives me unbiased, uncensored advice. Just tells me how it is. It's something that I need every day, and I appreciate that. So he's been incredible. The other two, you know, the head coach at Western Kentucky, his name's Tyson Helton, and he's coached at a lot of different places. He's been the head coach at Western Kentucky for the last 7 years. But he's such a big influence on my life because that man at 26, that man back in 2022 when I was 26 years old gave me my first opportunity to be an offensive coordinator. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to lie to y'all, I laughed in his face the first time he told me, you know, like we had just like set the world on fire in 2021. Like we set passing records, we set offensive records, and then Coach Kittley gets the job at Texas Tech. And again, I'm not very old at this time. I'm thinking I'm going to go to, you know, Texas Tech and go be a QC for Coach Kittley, and Coach Helton, kind of talks like this. Unbelievable dude, got kind of a funny voice. He said, Ben, I'm going to make you the play caller. I remember looking at him, I was like, oh, Coach, that's a good one, man. Like, hey, I'm out of here. I'm going to Lubbock. Like, hey, I love you, man. You're awesome. And he, like, didn't break his face one bit. He's like, Ben, I'm going to make you the offensive coordinator. And I was like, oh, you're serious. Yeah. All right, let's roll. Like, yeah, I'm down. Like, go Tops. I'm not leaving. And so one of the greatest humans I've ever been around, one of the hardest working, one of the most demanding humans I've ever been around, which I think for me in my young career was something that was pivotal for me. He demanded a lot, he expected a lot, and he would let you know if you didn't meet those expectations. So you worked every day to meet those expectations. But just a great guy that I get to talk to twice a month, you know, because he's always busy, but we always find time to connect, and he's been incredible. And I think another guy who has changed my life from a coaching perspective is Jake Dickert at Wake Forest. He was our head coach the last 2 years at Washington State, and he's been the head coach at Wake Forest for the last 3 months. And, you know, Coach Dickert gave me an unbelievable opportunity to kind of step out of my comfort zone. I moved to the Pacific Northwest, guys. I mean, totally different than the Texas Panhandle. Kentucky at least kind of has the same vibe as this place, right? Like, I mean, good people over there. It's very similar. But Washington, the state of Washington and the Pacific Northwest was just a whole different thing for my family and I. But Coach Dickert gave me that opportunity to go up there and get to work with an awesome staff and unbelievable players who were just great kids who were about the right stuff. And he taught me a lot about organization and discipline and detail. A lot of things that you see on film, right, is stuff that I got from Coach Dickert about how to approach a team meeting and how to really get the kids to engage with you and buy in. And because, you know, a kid's attention span, you got it for about 15 minutes, man. Yeah. Like, I learned that whenever I was coaching in high school. You got that thing for about 15 minutes, so you better find different ways to engage them in the meeting. And, you know, all those guys have just been totally incredible to me and took chances on me when they didn't have to. And, you know, much like Coach Venables, like, he didn't have to call me. He didn't have to pursue me to be the offense coordinator. He didn't have to hire me, but he did. And I take the same approach every single day with Coach Venables that I took with those other four gentlemen is, all right, you took a chance on me. It's my responsibility to prove you right. Right? And from everyone, it's a whole encompassing thing, but it's my job to prove you right. And so that's how I just attack every single day is, all right, I'm going to be aligned with Coach Venables. I'm going to pull the rope in the same direction. I'm going to preach his message, and I'm going to prove him right. And so, those are the influences in my coaching career.
Fantastic. We're looking forward to getting to know a little bit more. We've got to step aside for a break here. It is the Huddle, or beg your pardon, it's Sooner Sports Talk from Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue. Opening segment presented by McIntyre Law. We will continue with Sooner Offensive Coordinator Ben Arbuckle in just a moment from right here at Rudy's.
Sooner Sports Talk is brought to you by Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue, bringing you the best in real Texas barbecue. Walden Cleaners and Laundry, where the difference is quality. Riverwind Casino, good times, great rewards. Dos Equis, the official import beer of OU Athletics. Go for Dos. Enjoy Dos Equis responsibly. Bob Moore Ford is proud to honor service members through the Patriot of the Game.
Log on to Soonersports.com/kids for information about joining the Sooner Kids Club presented by OG&E and brought to you in part by Orthodontics exclusively, Mathis Home, and Devon Energy.
You're watching Sooner Sports Talk, coming from Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue in Norman, bringing you the best in real Texas barbecue. And we're bringing you a real Texas guy right here, and that's Oklahoma assistant, or I should say the offensive coordinator, Ben Arbuckle, and Caleb Kelly with us. We were talking about your philosophies and kind of your coaching background. So take us through, you and Coach Venables meet to discuss you coming to Oklahoma. What was the instant connection like, and how nice was it to have that with Coach Venables?
My favorite part about the conversations that I had with Coach Venables leading up to it is whenever you talk to a coach from a different institution, you want to feel the passion, right? Like, you don't want to work for somebody who doesn't believe in where they're at. And Coach Venables, I mean, he believes in this place to the nth degree. Like, I mean, just his passion and his vision for this place immediately jumped off the phone to me. I was like, okay, this is awesome. And then the next thing that we talked about that probably gets undervalued a lot in this coaching profession, we went for 30 minutes about every single coach, their wife, how they met, when they got married, every single kid that they have, the hobbies that these coaches' kids have. Guys, I'm telling you, like, the biggest thing for me is the quality of life of my wife and child. And I said, man, you kidding me? Like, this guy actually cares about the families of the people that work for him. And I was sold instantly. I said, take out everything else that's just great about Oklahoma, the tradition, the winning, the awards, the accolades. Like, all of that speaks for itself. But whenever I really got to just talk to him man to man, human to human, and I walked away from it saying, that's a guy that I can be aligned with. That's a guy that I want to work with. And it just made everything that much easier to make this decision to come here.
Man, I can attest to that too. I don't know how he remembers so many names.
It's a gift.
But every time he sees my son Swade, he walks up, Swade, what up, dude? And I'm like, how do you know his name? Like, that's just
makes you kind of jealous, doesn't it?
Right. I'm like, I need to work on that. Like, I just need to. But okay, we got Rudy's question for Coach. So when you first got hired, the video that went around was you playing golf over at the Washington State course. And so, you know, there's all kinds of golfers on our staff, coaches that claim to be golfers. But I got to know, have you played against Joe Jon? Because he's legit. I mean, he's like puppy-born golfer. Have you played against him?
So me and Joe Jon haven't gone toe-to-toe yet.
Haven't gone yet?
Right?
Okay.
We got to go out to California and play together. And we weren't in the same group, but I peeped a few of his shots on the driving range. I said, all right, he ain't no slouch, all right. And then we go to the putting range, and he's just draining like 20-foot putts. I said, okay, this guy's real. I'm going to have to bring my A game. I haven't gotten to play against him yet, but I have witnessed from afar that this guy has game, and so I better be ready whenever we do play.
Yeah, I mean, what are you shooting? I mean, you know?
You know, it depends on what time of the year it is.
How much wind is blowing in Oklahoma? Got to take that in consideration.
Yeah, no doubt. You kind of just learn to adapt to that. But, you know, if it's the summer and I got a little bit of, you know, time on my hands every now and then, I mean, I'm pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. Like I don't want to sit here and tell y'all I'm scratch, but I'm not far from it. Whenever I get to play a lot. But if we went out there today, I'd shoot a 80, 81, and you know,
well, I won't be with you.
Be happy to go.
Shots.
So.
I don't want you to have to drive all over the course with me.
Yeah, it's just a hobby I had from when I was a kid. Got to play with my dad, so it was, you know, I've always loved golf.
You talk about a couple of the offensive staff members there, Joe Jon Finley. What's it been like, you know, getting embedded with Joe Jon and Bill Bedenbaugh and Emmett, and what's all that been like?
Well, it's been
DeMarco Murray, I forgot about that guy. He's pretty good too.
It's been incredible because you think about those guys, and all those guys have done throughout their career, whether it's as players, as coaches, have won, right? And that was something that was so attractive to me. Getting to work with these guys was like, okay, these guys have done a lot of winning in their career, right? So I wanted to be around them. I wanted to see how their mind thinks, see how they would handle a situation, whether it be in football or like getting ready for practice or preparing for practice, because these guys have done a lot of winning in their career. And the things that I've taken away from that have, I think, kind of boosted me to be able to handle this position even more. But, you know, Bill Bedenbaugh, I mean, guys, he's widely regarded as the best offensive line coach in college football. And I'm telling you, he fits the bill. Like, we sit in there and he just starts talking about technique and schemes and blocking schemes. And I'm like, okay, this guy gets it. Like, I've never thought of it that way. Like, that's really actually very good. And, you know, someone else who's just an awesome coach is Coach Finley. Like, he is so sharp. The way he interacts with those tight ends and gets them to understand what I'm trying to get them to understand is something that you don't take for granted. Those guys are moving so much further along because of the way he coaches them and interacts with them in meetings daily. And then Coach Murray and Coach Jones, I mean, like, those dudes coach their dudes freaking hard, man. Like some days I'm like, God, I would not want to be a receiver at Oklahoma. Like, Coach Jones is over there getting on them, man. But it's good because they respond to him in the right way. Mm-hmm. He puts it to them in such a way that they can, one, understand, and two, hold themselves accountable to what their job is on any given play. And so all those guys are great. I mean, same thing goes for Coach Murray, man. Like God forbid the running backs mess something up in practice. Like, he is getting after them, and I love it. I'm like, heck yeah. Like, they ain't gonna mess it up next time. I bet they don't make the same mistake again. Like, and so it's just been a pleasure getting to be around all of them again. All their pedigree of winning and their football knowledge, I think, is something that's a huge asset to the University of Oklahoma. And so I'm glad I get to be with them every day.
So much experience in all those guys. Obviously, you're a younger guy. Not 30 yet?
Not 30 yet.
Not 30
no,
yet.
Getting close.
So impressive, though.
Getting close.
And such a humble guy as well, in just in the way you talk about your players, your co-workers. Man, a younger guy myself, been thrown into all kinds of situations. Really, just what is it like leading some real vets, some real winning vets? What is that like in your profession?
Yeah. At first, I mean, you would think it'd probably be intimidating at first, but I think you have to, one, be confident in yourself, and you have to exude that confidence into others, right? Everything that you're saying to somebody or everything you're trying to get someone to do, you have to let them know that it's the best dang thing they've ever heard in their entire life, right? And there's a whole nother aspect of, you just got to be a good human, right? You got to, like, the human decency aspect of it comes in a lot, where you just treat people the right way. Boom, you show them a good product, tell them this is exactly how you want it done, and they're going to do it because you're going to get what you demand. All right, you are. And at the end of the day, we're going to demand excellence from everybody in that building, whether it be the coaches, the players, the support staff. Sole mission over here, man. Like, you get what you demand. And that's the mindset that I take into any staff meeting I have, any unit meeting I have, any team meeting I have. You're going to get what you demand. And so whenever you demand it, you better show 0 ounce of second thought. It better be the greatest thing that these kids have ever seen or they've ever heard in their life. And our kids are incredible, and they buy in like that, and they do exactly what you ask them to do.
Got to hear from John Mateer the other day, the quarterback. He met the media. Very sharp, impressive guy. From your perspective as a coach, what's it like to coach him?
John's a lot of fun to coach because John truly cares first about the team above anything else. You know, there's a few games that we lost at Washington State, guys, and if y'all go see the stat line, John's like 30 of 35 for 350 yards, 4 touchdowns, and ran for 80 yards, and we didn't win, and he shoulders the entire blame, right? And I love that about him. Sometimes he's probably a little unfair on himself, but he cares about the team first. Like, whatever he does in a game isn't good enough if we don't win. But he's a smart, intelligent kid who's really diligent to his process, whether it be training, practice, or film study or whatever. He's very diligent and he cares a lot. But the best thing about John, because I'm a firm believer in this, he doesn't forget that football is a game. Like guys, we played football at recess. It's the same game that we're playing out there. Like, he doesn't forget that. He has fun with his teammates. He has fun with his coaches, right? He brings people along just because of the attitude that he brings to everything every single day. And John's a great kid. He's an incredible kid who cares. And so it's a joy getting to coach him.
Didn't even talk spring football. I mean, we're 5 days into spring, and we're about to have to let you go. How's it gone? Kind of the bird's eye view from 30,000 feet so far.
Yeah, it's been really good, man. It's been a lot of fun getting to get out there with these kids and just see them put the classroom to the field, the application that they have. The best part is, the most fun part about it is a lot of it's so new to them that they're hungry to learn.
Sure.
Like, these kids want to be so dang good, and it's evident every single day. It's evident in the culture that BV drives every day that these kids want to be good. And so they go out there, they bust their butt, they get after it. But it's been awesome. You know, it's been great for me too. Guys, I'm telling you, our defense is awesome. Like, Coach Venables is a defensive mastermind, right? So it constantly challenges me every day too. So as much as the players are getting challenged to get better, I'm getting challenged to get better, because this guy's the cream of the crop at what he does. He constantly challenges my rules, my everything about who I am as a coach, and it's something I appreciate every single day because it just makes me get better. I'm going to find every answer I possibly can, and we're going to be so much better for it.
You taking home some Rudy's tonight?
I am going to take home some Rudy's tonight. Me and my wife, we love Rudy's.
Beautiful.
So it's a good deal for us.
Awesome. Thanks so much for being with us. That's Ben Arbuckle, offensive coordinator at Oklahoma. Welcome him to town if you have not already.
Appreciate y'all.
This segment
Awesome.
has been presented by Dos Equis, official import beer of OU Athletics. Go for Dos. Enjoy Dos Equis responsibly. We will talk a little more Sooner football. Caleb Kelly and I continue. We're going to let Ben Arbuckle get away
Appreciate
from
you,
Rudy's
man.
Country
Thank
Store
y'all
and
very
Barbecue.
much.
You're
Absolutely.
watching Sooner Sports Talk
See you
on
at
this
work,
Monday
brother.
night.
Yes, sir.
Sooner Sports Talk is brought to you by Norman Hyundai, your premier Hyundai dealership for new and used cars. The best place to gear up for game day is shop.soonersports.com. The Sooner Sports Podcast is your all-access audio pass to Sooner Sports. Listen as Toby Rowland and Chris Plank talk all things Sooners. New episodes drop every day. Log on to Soonersports.com/podcast or search Sooner Sports Podcast in your favorite podcast provider. Presented by Allstate and Riverwind Casino. Orthodontics Exclusively is a proud sponsor of the Junior Captain of the Game. Junior Captain is the ultimate fan experience for children 6 to 12.
You're not clapping, Caleb. Come on, you got to clap. We're back. The show is back. Caleb Kelly, Chad McKee back with you on Sooner Sports Talk from Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue in Norman. And this segment is presented by Riverwind Casino. Good times, great rewards. We continue, of course, talking Sooner football and new staff hires, starting with a general manager in Jim Nagy, who was brought on. I think it's just brilliant. Hearing Coach Venables talk about it this week. It's a more professional model. That's what collegiate sports is. You start to use terms like efficiency and capology when it comes to NIL, but it's so true, Caleb. And having someone with his great experience at all levels with scouts, with NFL personnel, and then with the college game as well. It seems pretty brilliant to me.
Yeah, brilliant. And you know, it's funny because when you're a player, you think about the Senior Bowl, especially if you're coming back for that senior year. So, I mean, I probably followed Jim Nagy from like sophomore year of college back in 1992 or whatever it was before he could make the joke. And so, it's somebody that you really looked up to. And the thing that I love about the Senior Bowl and bringing the director of the Senior Bowl, like the head guy, to the University of Oklahoma is that, man, when you talk about transfer portal now, this guy looks at you when you're a sophomore, junior, you're a senior, and he's got all levels, D1, D1AA, D2, D3. I mean, nobody's slipping through the cracks. And he's able to look at these guys that NFL scouts are looking at as well, and sometimes even put them on the radar. There are sometimes where a guy goes into the Senior Bowl, nobody's really heard of his name or anything, and next thing you know, he's getting drafted first, second round, and it's like, whoa, where's this guy been? Like some D3 guy that's playing in the NFL? Well, Jim Nagy and crew went and found him. And so the reality is, he's already looking at everybody for all these different years because he's been doing it, building that roster for the Senior Bowl year in, year out. So, man, he knows what to look for out there. He knows what is out there currently. Man, Jim Nagy, I think, just home run hire. And to get him to come to Oklahoma, I mean, what better place to start than here? I mean, why not?
So critical. Coach Venables was mentioning the percentage on the number of players invited to the NFL Combine who started at a smaller school, then wound up at a Power 4 school. It was somewhere in the neighborhood of a quarter of the players or a third of the players who went to the Combine. That's what you're talking about, having to know those guys and looking under every rock and every crack possible. That's what you have to have.
I mean, we got a Keontez Lewis, a Javani Gibson. I mean, smaller guys. Javani's from Arkansas Pine Bluff. I mean, smaller schools that come in, and I mean, I'm not afraid to say it. Javani Gibson is freaking good. I can't wait to see him in game, but seeing him in the first 5 practices, I know we aren't jumping and talking about players, but if there's one offensive guy that I'm looking at from a defensive perspective, it's Javani Gibson. He looks like he could, with the helmet on now. Now, Coach Emmett does have a stature to him, a build. Well, it looks like Javani Gibson's like his like little clone or son on the field or something, just in the fact that he's yoked up, hitting backflips. I think they posted that after scoring a touchdown. So excited to see him, but just an example of getting a smaller school guy to here who, I mean, if things pan out the way that they look like they can and what I'm seeing, like this guy's going to be drafted and he'll be another statistic to add to that list.
Exactly. And you got a couple of staff hires as well, and Nate Dreiling and Wes Goodwin. Nate Dreiling comes in as inside linebackers coach.
Yeah.
He's kind of one of those guys that, you know, he had to work so hard for everything coming up through his playing and his coaching days, but to coach inside linebackers now.
Yeah, and you know, it just goes to the testament that when you're at Oklahoma, you can go get anybody. I mean, this guy was a head coach at Utah State, and then next thing you know, he's at NC State for a couple months. And, hey, brother, I know you just signed. You just moved your family all the way over there. They might not even have packed up the house yet. But, hey, we need you at Oklahoma. Well, yes, sir, I'll be there in next week. And that's just the power that this place has. And, you know, Coach Bob said it when he was passing the hat over at the Alamo Bowl game and after even Lincoln left, like, you know, the place is big. It is going to always be Oklahoma. And the people really do matter here. And you hear it when Coach Arbuckle's talking and Coach Venables talks about and you hear the passion and the precision that they have in going forward with this culture. But, man, this place really does hold weight. And going 6-7, 2 out of 3 years, that's not going to continue at this place because the reality is the expectations set so high that it doesn't matter if you're in the SEC, Big 12, you got the hardest schedule in the nation. Like, you got to show up and you got to ball out because it's Oklahoma football.
And Wes Goodwin knows about those expectations. He comes in as an outside linebackers coach, and he's defensive coordinator at Clemson. He and Coach Venables go back a long way. So here you've got that family, that kinship, that same language, same vibe on this staff once again.
Yeah, and that cheetah position, that outside linebacker cheetah that he's coaching, man, so important for the defense. Those guys have to do everything. I mean, you got to be a guy that can fit in the run fit, that can blitz off the edge, that can go into the B gap and not afraid to hit somebody. I mean, you got to do that, but then next thing you know, you got to be with this receiver running 4-4. And reality is it doesn't matter if you're 230, 220. I myself played the same position. You got to go run. You got to get down the field with them. And so having a guy like Wes Goodwin that has the knowledge, that's been running the same defenses, going with Dabo, coming over here, and speaking that same language like you mentioned, all it does is make things clearer because as a player, if you know the playbook like the back of your hand, now you're free. Now you get to feel the game. Now you get to see a quarterback. You get to make eye contact with him. Am I coming in on this play? Do I make him jump off sides, get a false start? You start playing games within the game, and it levels it up. And the way to do that is to have a coach that from the jump knows exactly what's expected so that you aren't continuing throughout the year to look back and say, oh, yeah, we did this before, now we're doing this. And I know it's the same play call, but no, we're not going to do that anymore. And it's just set, it's concrete, everybody's on the same page. Now go be free, go play, go ball out.
New faces on the coaching staff and of course, some new faces on the roster as well. We're going to get into some of those with Caleb as he's been in there about 5 practices now into the spring as we head toward the conclusion of that. But who are some of the new faces maybe that he's had his eyes on? We'll step aside for no, we're not going to step aside. We're going to take a look at the offensive gains right now. So that's really small print, Caleb. Can you see that over there?
I mean, Carson Kent, big dude. John Locke, big dude at tight end. You know, tight end placement. Obviously, the John Mateers there. Isaiah Satanga, twitchy guy that we need. You know, the Drake Stoops, the inside slot guys, even Sterling Shepard back in the day could go inside, outside. But you got to have a twitchy guy who can be a possession receiver. Man, Isaiah Satanga, I think he's going to be a guy for us. Obviously, Derek Simmons, that offensive line that everybody's been talking about. Definitely excited to have him in, just a force, experience, and just going to be a guy that helps out. And again, Javonte Gibson, he's that dude to me. He's really got everything that we want in a deep threat, and a guy that's going to go get the ball, get a stiff arm, not do too much wiggling and all that, and get loose and go score a touchdown.
Anybody else that is new, maybe that wasn't on that list, somebody that we knew was going to be here as well?
On the offense, defensive side, obviously Kendall Daniels is a big guy playing. I think he's perfect fit for that cheetah position with his history that he's had. Just a guy that has played safety, has played linebacker, and so was a faster guy. Put on some weight, moved him up. Not afraid to get into the fit. But I mean, he's in that linebacker room with guys like Kip, like Kobe, that have been in this defense now for 3-4 years. You're getting trained up next to those guys. I'm looking to see some Kip 6, some KD 6. We got multiple KDs on the team now. I mean, I love the defense that we have. And you heard Coach Arbuckle talk about it. They're freaking good. I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, the already strong unit got a little bit stronger with some of the names that you saw right there. So we're going to come back, talk a little more spring football, and also the Sooners that went through Pro Day this past week had 11 guys able to go through Pro Day, 3 that went to the NFL Combine. Danny Stutzman, Billy Bowman, Ethan Downs. We'll talk about their performances there when we come back. It is Sooner Sports Talk coming your way from Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue in Norman.
We want to thank all of our Sooner Radio Network affiliates across the state and region. Fans can check out Soonersports.com for an affiliate in your area. And if you're traveling outside the state of Oklahoma, you can listen to all the action on either SiriusXM Radio or download the Varsity Network app and listen free. Oklahoma Buick GMC dealers. See your Oklahoma Buick GMC dealer.
Sooner Sports Talk comes your way as always on Mondays from Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue. We are talking Sooner football. It's great to have offensive coordinator Ben Arbuckle with us tonight. Caleb Kelly and Chad McKee continuing to talk a little Sooner football, spring football, and this segment is presented by Pike Pass. Make it home safe, Oklahoma. So spring football, you've got 5 already practices leading up to the Crimson Combine. We'll have a little more information on that. Yeah. But this past week, you also had Pro Day. 3 Sooners were invited to the NFL Combine. But so cool to have Pro Day because you don't know. We had Jonah Leulu who didn't go to the Combine and then shows out on Pro Day and gets himself some NFL time, Caleb. So Pro Day is critical to you. So let's talk about the guys who went to the Combine first and then did Pro Day. Danny Stutzman, Billy Bowman, Ethan Downs were able to do that. How about their performances? Certainly looked really good.
Yeah, and I mean, they check all the boxes. You know, when you go to the Combine, you're obviously a guy that's high enough on the board that they say, okay, we're going to invite this guy out here. We want to see him. We want to have meetings with him. You get a guy like Ethan Downs that jumps like a 10-4 broad, and okay, well, now a defensive end, what does that mean? Well, his get-off. You got to have a really good get-off when you're playing defensive end going against these tackles. And if you're jumping 10-4 and you got a 34-inch vert at 290-something pounds, sounds like a good get-off to me in a lot of force. And so just really even in that drill alone, I like to focus on with defensive ends. You look at a guy like Billy, where, man, really, Billy, obviously, he's a smaller guy, 5'10". They might have even had him at like 5'9" and 7/8 or something. Like, they're not going to give you anything at the NFL Combine. But he's one of those guys that plays bigger, and that's not a secret. That's something that we've always known, that, okay, he's a shorter guy, makes up for it in his bench, makes up for it in his play, makes up for it in his agility, and then his drills, I mean, flawless. Like, when you watch those guys where they're turning their hips and they got to turn 3 or 4 times and stay on that hash, and he literally stays directly on the hash, it shows such fluidity and movement, and all that carries over into play. When the guy has to break on the ball, he's not expecting it, and next thing you know, oh, you got to go the other way. And that's a real football movement, and so I think he did a great job as well. That's why you don't even see him do anything at Pro Day, because listen, you checked all the boxes that we need. We know what we're getting with you, a great hard worker, a guy that's going to come in and be a pro, that's been a pro since he was freaking 18 years old, walked in the building, has always been real quiet, real focused, and if he's mad, he'll let you know. And that's Billy Bowman. And then you get a guy like Danny Stutzman, who everybody loves Danny Stutzman. Personally, he was my little freshman when I was a 6-year senior, so watching him grow up all these years and grow into the player he is, but then also the person, everybody on social media gets to interact with him. Dude's hilarious. Like, you see where Jaron Canning's getting it from, it's like it passed down to him, but everybody knows, like, Danny's hilarious. But then you have questions when you're a guy that's doing that. Can you be serious? Can you lock in? Can you check that box? Well, then he goes over there, does everything but the bench, runs a freaking 4.52.
Really good.
A 4.52 at a linebacker where you weigh 235 to 240. Like, Danny can get up there and wait, or he can drop. He can do whatever he wants.
That's not a check. That's an exclamation point in the box, right?
That's an exclamation point. And so that's why you don't even see, all right, well, I'm not going to go do all my shuttles and do all these different things now. I just ran a 4.52. That was the one thing they wanted to know. How fast am I? I just showed them. Like, I'm running faster than all kinds of running backs. And I think I was talking to Rodney Anderson. He said even faster than the running back up north at that. And so it makes sense because he's a freaking awesome football player. Got his 20 as a linebacker. You want to get at least 20 on the bench. Running back, at least 20 on the bench. Check the box. Got 22 at Pro Day. And so now jumping into some of those guys at Pro Day, one person, and you mentioned it last year with Jonah Laulu, those defensive ends, every year it seems like now, are we going to have somebody that pops up? Or
Trace Ford?
Trace Ford.
Could be. His numbers were awfully good at Pro Day.
Really good.
You know, when he's been healthy, he's a super productive player.
Right.
So we wish the best for him and all those guys. We talked about spring football, the Crimson Combine. It's going to be different. Combine-style drills, skills. You'll be able to get out there and get interactive with players and coaches.
Yeah,
and I think that's the coolest part about it.
Autographs and talking to the guys. Now, obviously, the game and not playing the game, it's different from a former player myself. Oh, man, no game. I mean, you hear it from all the teammates, all the other guys, like, man, no game, that sucks. Reality is that's where we're at right now. That's what's happening. So what do you get to look forward to? You get to shake some of these guys' hands. Like, you get to meet some of these guys, and really, more importantly, the kids get to meet them, and that's what we really love.
We got to go to break here. That look at the Crimson Combine presented by the Trails Golf Club in Norman. We're wrapping up Sooner Sports Talk when we come back to Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue.
Thank you to our Cornerstone television partners, OU Health, OG&E, Fowler Auto Group, and Coca-Cola.
Final segment is presented by your Oklahoma Buick GMC dealers. We want to thank Ben Arbuckle for being with us, the Sooner offensive coordinator. It was great getting to know him, and always great to talk football with Caleb. Toby Rowland will be back next week for Sooner Sports Talk as well as The Huddle. It's been my privilege filling in, though, from Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue. I'm Chad McKee, and this has been Sooner Sports Talk. We appreciate you joining us tonight, Sooner Nation.
Live at Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue, bringing you the best in real Texas barbecue. Sooner Sports Talk has been brought to you by Dos Equis, official import beer of OU Athletics. Go for Dos. Enjoy Dos Equis responsibly. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Sooner Sports Network.